Look at her, still playing with her little phone app like a teenager, Olivia sneered, taking a sip of her wine. Seriously, Julia, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? That retail position at Harris Electronics isn't exactly a career. I felt the familiar sting of her words but forced myself to stay calm. It was Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' house, a time for family, food, and, in my case, enduring their never-ending disapproval. The scent of roasted turkey and freshly baked rolls filled the dining room, but the warm aroma did little to comfort me. Julia, honey, my mother said, her voice laced with concern, though I knew it was more disappointment than anything else. Olivia's just looking out for you. She's already a senior marketing executive at 28. We just want to see you do well too. I pushed the peas around my plate, pretending not to hear. My phone, sitting just beside my water glass, lit up with a notification. I glanced at it quickly, an email from Apple's development team. My heart leaped. They were impressed with my prototype and wanted to schedule a final meeting, but I kept my face neutral, knowing better than to share this kind of news with my family. She's probably just playing some stupid game, Olivia added, rolling her eyes. Remember when she said she was learning to code last year? As if someone who barely passed high school math could make anything worthwhile. Technology is a young man's game anyway. My father chimed in. Why not let Olivia help you get a proper marketing job? Something stable, with a future. I inhaled deeply, counting to 3 in my head. You're right, I said finally, plastering on a small smile. I'm probably just wasting my time. Across the table, my cousin Nina caught my eye and smirked knowingly. She was the only one in the family who knew what I was really working on. I had shown her the app months ago, explaining how it used AI to track inventory, predict sales trends, and improve customer experience. She'd been amazed. They'll see, she had told me that night. One day, they'll regret doubting you. The dinner continued, with my parents gushing over Olivia's latest promotion while I silently listened, feeling like an outsider in my own family. I'd grown used to it by now. Growing up in Albuquerque, Olivia was the golden child, straight A's, class president, well-connected. Meanwhile, I spent hours tinkering with computers, teaching myself to code from online tutorials. My father called it hiding in my room, but I was learning, building, and creating something they could never understand. Remember when Julia tried to make Mom a website for her book club? Olivia said with a laugh. What a disaster that was. I clenched my jaw but said nothing. What she didn't know was that the so-called disaster had been my first real coding project. The design had been basic, the interface clunky, but it taught me valuable lessons about user experience and back-end development, lessons I'd later use to build my app. At least she's reliable at the store, my father added. Alice says she's always on time. Alice, my manager at Harris Electronics, was more than just a boss. She was one of the first people to truly believe in my app. She'd seen firsthand how it could track inventory better than their outdated system. You're solving real problems here, Julia, she had told me last week. Don't let anyone tell you different. The sound of silverware clinking against plates brought me back to the present. Nina reached under the table and squeezed my hand, her way of reminding me that I wasn't alone. Olivia, tell us more about your promotion, my mother gushed. Your father and I were just telling the neighbors about it yesterday. I got up to help clear the dishes, letting their voices fade into the background. I thought about all the nights I had stayed up after long retail shifts, perfecting my code, debugging errors, running tests. The neighbors might hear about Olivia's promotion, but tomorrow, the world would hear about my success. My phone buzzed again, another confirmation from Apple. My meeting was set for 9 a.m. sharp. I smiled as I rinsed the dishes, feeling a quiet satisfaction build in my chest. They could think whatever they wanted about me. They could doubt, mock, and dismiss me all they liked. By this time tomorrow, everything would change. I spoke softly, my voice steady but firm. The people who think they're protecting you are actually just protecting their own idea of who you should be. I let the words linger for a moment before turning on my heel and walking out, leaving them standing there in the kitchen. They didn't follow me, and I didn't look back. The crisp morning air greeted me as I stepped outside, cool against my skin, filled with the kind of quiet possibility that only a new day could bring. I had somewhere important to be, and I wasn't going to let anyone stand in my way. The lobby of Apple's headquarters was a masterpiece of modern architecture, tall glass walls reflecting the sunlight, sleek steel surfaces gleaming under the bright lights. It was both intimidating and exhilarating. As I stood there waiting for my meeting, My phone buzzed relentlessly in my pocket. I already knew who it was, my family. I ignored all the messages except one. Nina. Nina, they're freaking out. Olivia has been making calls all morning, trying to figure out what's really going on. I sighed but didn't respond. There were bigger things to focus on. A sleek elevator carried me up to the executive floor. The doors slid open with a soft chime, and standing there, waiting for me, was Alice, my store manager. But seeing her in this setting, dressed sharply in a professional suit, I realized something was off. She grinned at my confusion. Surprise, did you really think I was just a retail manager? I blinked. Yeah. For the past year, I've actually been Apple's head of retail innovation. Part of my job has been evaluating new technologies in real-world settings, like yours. My mind reeled as I recalled all the times Alice had asked about my project, offered insights, and given me feedback. What I had assumed was casual interest had, in reality, been something much bigger. Your sister came to the store last week, Alice continued, her expression turning serious. She tried to access your development files. She claimed she was your business partner. When that didn't work, she suggested that you might have stolen the concept from her marketing firm. I felt my stomach drop. She what? Alice gave me a reassuring look. Don't worry, we have security footage of her attempts, and we've documented your work process since I first noticed your prototype 6 months ago. Her claims won't hold up. We walked into the meeting room, where executives were already seated, waiting. Taking a deep breath, I pulled out my laptop. My hands were steady, even though my heart was pounding. Good morning, everyone, I began. For the past 3 years, I've been developing an AI-powered inventory system that doesn't just track products, it predicts customer behavior, streamlines supply chains, and adapts to real-time market changes. As I spoke, I saw interest spark in their eyes. The AI's ability to analyze social media trends, local events, and weather patterns to predict demand was unlike anything on the market. This is impressive, the chief technology officer finally said, but why test it in a small electronics store? I smiled, because retail is where the real problems are. Working on the sales floor showed me what customers and employees actually need, not what executives think they need. The discussion continued, and by the time I finished, the atmosphere in the room had completely shifted. The silence that followed was thick with anticipation. Then, the CTO spoke. We'd like to make you an offer, not just for the system, but for you, to join us as Deputy Director of Retail Innovation, working alongside Alice. He wrote a number on the whiteboard, and my breath caught in my throat. It was more money than my entire family made in a year. Alice leaned forward, adding, we're rolling out your system to all Apple stores and partner retailers by next quarter. The announcement goes out tomorrow morning. Partner retailers, including Harris Electronics. My family's store would be required to use my system, the same system they dismissed as a waste of time. That evening, I sat in my hotel room, reviewing the final paperwork, when my phone exploded with notifications. Olivia had finally pieced everything together. Olivia, Julia, we need to talk. This is serious, please call me. I was about to turn off my phone when it rang. Alice. Your sister's firm has been trying to get information about tomorrow's announcement. She says she needs to protect her family's interests. I've had to block 3 calls from her already. I rubbed my temples. She's probably worried about her marketing contracts. Alice hesitated. It's more than that. She's been telling people she helped develop your system, that her marketing strategies were the core of its success. Anger flared in my chest. Even now, Olivia was trying to take credit for my work. Alice continued. There's something else you should know. Your parents' store isn't just another Harris Electronics franchise. It's one of their top-performing locations in the Southwest. They've used that success to block smaller stores from opening nearby. The weight of the revelation settled over me. All those years of being dismissed, mocked for working retail. Meanwhile, their success had depended on the very industry they belittled me for being passionate about. My phone buzzed again. Dad, just heard about Apple's announcement. Olivia says it might affect our store. What do you know about this? Then another message. Mom, honey, please, tell Olivia she can help fix whatever problem you've created. She has connections. I closed my eyes, exhaling slowly. This wasn't about revenge. It was about fairness. My system flagged businesses engaging in anti-competitive practices. My family's store just happened to be one of them. The next morning, I sat in Apple's press conference room, watching the live stream. The CEO was introducing the AI system, describing how it would revolutionize retail. On another screen, Harris Electronics franchise owners, including my family, watched virtually. This system was developed by our new Deputy Director of Retail Innovation, Julia Lee, the CEO announced. She spent 3 years perfecting it while working in retail herself. The camera zoomed in on the franchise meeting. My mother's coffee cup slipped from her fingers. My father looked like he'd seen a ghost. Olivia. Olivia's expression morphed from confusion to horror. Apple's system would now be mandatory for all Harris Electronics locations. My phone buzzed one last time. Olivia, you need to stop this now. Do you have any idea what this will do to Mom and Dad's business? To my contracts? I didn't answer. They had insisted I stick to retail, and now, retail was sticking with them, in ways they never expected.